Waking Up Singapore. Gotta get up. The Big Show on Kiss 92. Gotta get up.
Good morning, Singapore, and welcome to Therapy Tuesday with the one, the only, the award-winning psychologist from the therapy room, Dr. Geraldine Tan.
Wow. Drum roll, right? Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Jerry. I see your face, Sunny. My mental health has improved straight away.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, so nice. Next time, just put my picture there, okay?
Really? Okay, I take a photo
No.
and then
Carry it around in your wallet.
You'll be on my screen.
Oh.
Oh, dear me. Okay, let's move on.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, so the mid-year exams are on the horizon.
Yeah, so we have a wave of children coming in, being very worried. Deadlines are coming, so assignments are due. The children in the primary school, secondary school, the midterms are coming. Mid-years, yeah.
So you say there's a wave of children that are coming into your clinic. Is this something that's new, or is this something that's happened ever since you started, like during exam period?
During exam period, you have that usual season where the themes that they bring in are one of anxiety, one of worry. They're stressed, they can't cope, they're very overwhelmed. Yeah.
Jerry, who puts the pressure on them? Do they put the pressure on themselves? Is that pressure coming from school? Is it coming from parents? Where's it coming from?
Yeah. So sometimes we try to check in with them, and most of them would say, I put the pressure on myself. But I suppose it is something that is very unseen, is an invisible sort of pressure that the environment gives them the pressure. Because oftentimes some of the parents will say, but I don't tell them to, I don't pressure them, I'm not asking them to go and study, but they still feel the pressure.
Yeah, because they envision the future, see, and they're afraid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, what is it going to be like 10 years from now here in Singapore?
But I feel certain kids, depending on the ages as well, they don't see that far. So I just wonder, do they come in on their own and their parents sit outside, or what's the situation like? Or do the parents come into the room with them?
No, so usually we check in with them one-on-one.
Okay.
Parents sometimes do come in. So we have a difficulty with especially the teens. The teens don't want the parents inside the room.
Of
Yeah.
course.
It's
Yeah, of
their
course.
space. Yeah. So the therapy room, so inside the room itself is a safe space for them. So they can say whatever, and then they can even permit you. So we'll ask permission, right? Oh, can I share this with your parents? Can I share that with your parents? And they say, yeah, you can share anything. So I would say, what's the difference between you staying here and telling your parents than me telling, conveying all these messages, right? Or having the dialogue with the parents. And they sometimes find it very difficult to articulate it.
To the parents. Yeah, it's easier coming from a third party, right?
Yep.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard. I feel for the parents,
Yeah.
because we don't have that, the habit of communicating,
Communicating,
right?
yeah.
Then it's so hard.
I feel for the kids as well, because the kids have so much to say. I mean, parents, everyone's been through that exam season, and parents
Yes.
do understand how stressful it is. It's just that the teens or the younger ones, or however old they are, they don't realize that the parents do understand.
Yeah.
But they just can't communicate
But I
it.
think that's also on how the parents put that across, Some parents are about, you got to do well. You don't do well, you're not going to succeed.
But that's
you don't
their
do well.
nature. They are speaking the truth, what? You know what I mean? They don't know that this is going to bother the kids. You know what I mean?
I don't know about that.
I feel for parents. I mean, I think it's the hardest job in the,
It is.
in the
It
world.
is the hardest
Jerry,
job
could
in
you
the
speak
world.
to the parents when we go on the Big Show TV? Just like kind of guide
Sure.
them along. Okay,
Yeah.
keep it right here
Sure.
on Kiss 92. We're speaking to Dr. Geraldine Tan from the therapy room. Up next, Jax Jones and Zoe Wees. This is Never Lonely on Kiss. Kiss, 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 kiss. 92.
Before you speak to the parents, I was just watching this documentary on Netflix called What Jennifer Did. And it's about an hour and a half documentary about this girl in Canada whose parents were shot in the middle of the night. And eventually they found out it was her who had arranged for these men to come into the house because she couldn't deal with the pressure that her parents had put on her to do well in school, to find a suitable boyfriend and eventually husband that was, better off than them, so that the child didn't have to struggle. And it's very stressful when you're watching this girl, and you almost don't want to blame how she behaved. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but the amount of pressure that she was under by the parents to do well and to show face as such to the community was tremendous, and it drove her to murder her mom and put her father in a coma.
Wow.
So, I mean, that obviously is an extreme, but I know kids feel pressure and they all deal with it in different ways.
So we are not condoning the behavior, but I can understand if somebody feels cornered and they feel like they have nowhere to run, they might lash out or they might lash back to whoever it is. Yeah, unfortunately, many of the children are rather impulsive. So many of them have undiagnosed ADHD. So situations like that, they have a mental health issue, or they are more impulsive and they actually use methods that are a little bit more fatal, a little bit harsher, a little bit more violent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jerry, when these kids, we say they're stressed out at exams, what are they actually stressed about?
The big one that they mentioned is disappointment. I think earlier after you mentioned about, our parents putting on that pressure onto them. The children tend to articulate. So although, much later they believe that it is their own, if you dig a little bit more, you will really hear them say that they don't want to disappoint the parents, they don't want to disappoint the teachers, and we have to remind them that you're studying not for your parents, you're studying not for the teachers, you're studying for yourself. But I mean, in truth, all of us go to school, but we really don't know the purpose of going to school. We just know that we are sent there year after year, and we have to take silly examinations. We don't know what for. So we then attribute it to the person that had sent us there, which are the parents, or the next, adult that we can find would be the teachers. So we then accord the responsibility onto these adults. So part of it is that there are those that genuinely have a learning disorder. So we spoke about it in many of our sessions on Therapy Tuesdays before. ADHD, dyslexia, even auditory processing disorders. Many of these learning disorders may impede or become the obstacle from for many of these students from learning effectively. So for these is actually I would say this group is easier, because once we diagnose, they obtain the help, and the school is able to assist them, and they'll function a little bit better. They would still have the struggles in terms of their academics, but they cope a little bit better because they know what they are going through. The group that I think struggle the most in terms of mental health are
30
those
seconds.
that actually score very, very well. Those that are my A star students. And maybe we will talk about it on air.
I think I know why as well. Thanks. I was asking her to talk about the parents. And then, of course,
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, okay. There we go.
And it's physical. Keep it subliminal. Show me what you want. go.
Kiss 92 traffic.
So if you're on the SLE or about to hit the SLE, head towards BKE, look out after Woodlands Avenue 2's exit because an obstacle has been spotted. Not quite sure what that is, but if you do, you can always WhatsApp us at 88550920.
Welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. Our guest for this morning is Dr. Geraldine Tan from the Therapy Room. And today we're talking about, examination stress and, who causes the examination stress. I think you mentioned early on that a lot of the students are quite hard on themselves, They want to do so
Yes.
well. We don't know
Yes.
whether it's to please their parents or to please their educators or whatever. But they do put stress on themselves.
They do. So we were talking about the different groups of children, and I was talking about those that are struggling because of a learning issue. So those we can test and provide resources. In fact, it's interesting because those that don't score too well, they're actually quite happy with themselves. They're not too bothered about it. But the group that I'm actually very concerned about are actually the AA star group, which have a lot of mental health issues. They are the ones that have high anxiety, depression. They are the ones that say, I feel like ending my life because I cannot make it. And you wonder, what do you mean by you cannot make it or you cannot perform? And actually, they are trying to strive for a certain GPA. And they already have a near perfect GPA or a near perfect score, or their A's. Yet they are still coming into sessions very downcast. They appear very defeated by the whole studying. So this group of people, many of them, some of them, they strive for perfection. So all of us want to be good. All of us want to strive to be better. But this group of people, they're very, very particular. It's very black and white. It's either A star or nothing at all. That means my life is over should I get any other grade. Yeah, so that obsession or that just very, very, they're not even determined. It's just that obsession with that grade.
But how did they end up, with this kind of drive and this kind of mindset?
So it could be a variety of things, right? It could be them it could be a family sort of thing that they are the only one. So, some of them would say that I'm the only one in my family that can achieve. So they load themselves with that pressure. And you hear some of them saying, oh, but my siblings cannot do that. Only I can. It is such a difficult thing to be the good child and the good student. Yeah.
Dr. Jerry, we speak about the from the view of the child or the student, but what about from the POV of the parent or the educator? Is that it's the same stuff going through their minds, like you are the only child that's going to be able to do this, or you're the only one that's going to become a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer? Because there are a few parties that play a role in this stress, right? Maybe we can talk about that on the Big Show TV.
I think I would be like that if I were a parent.
Yes, you would.
I would definitely be like that.
You'd be a tiger father.
Yeah, I don't know about tiger father. Dingo father.
Dingo father.
It's 8:13.
Kiss 92 Time Check brought to you by Pootie.
So we keep mentioning, the kids feel so much stress and this and that, but what are the parents going through and what are the teachers going through?
Some of the parents, they are very, very high achievers. So they come in and they say, I don't pressure my child at all. But, inadvertently with their achievements, they put pressure on the child. So I've got, one of the cases, both parents are doing really, really well. They are high flying professionals. They didn't say that they want the child to be that, but the child actually feels that that is something that the parents want the child to follow in their footsteps.
But
So
even if the parent says they don't, the child still feels that pressure?
they do because the environment that they are in. So they, when they go out, parents and parents or the adults would talk, right? Or what is your child doing? How is your child performing? My child is doing this and that. It's a very subtle comparison. It's a very subtle sort of oh, please don't embarrass me. And the children can pick up on that despite the fact that we don't say it, or we are not very overt or blatant in telling them that. They pick up cues, so they would say, so the teens would say, my parents has never told me directly, but the very fact that they would go out and tell someone, oh, my child is doing this and doing that, they feel they cannot let up or they cannot lose that platform. Yeah. So those are the very subtle ones. Some of the issues with the parents, when I hear them talk about their stressors, so parents get stressed, right? And you try to find out, they would say, oh, but I want my child to have a future. So it's that trying to predict the future. So it's interesting because sometimes, if you put it in perspective for the parents and you say, how does, pushing your child now so hard that it affects the mental health, give the child a future?
Yeah.
So what if the child gets the A but doesn't live to continue to learn or, or to have life? So if I am very, very harsh with the parents, sometimes I would say, and the child is struggling a lot, I would say, even if the child gets all the A's on this report card, but the next day doesn't continue to live, so what's the use of that report card?
Yeah, so what obviously suicide and stuff like that is very, very, is one end of the spectrum, right? But what are some of the other repercussions that you see in children from stress like this?
So you have your depression, your anxiety, your eating disorders, so your mental health issues. Definitely they play a part for some of them. Yeah. In fact, if we talk about anxiety symptoms, we don't have to go to the clinical disorders. So parents actually can see some of the anxiety symptoms. I'm not talking about during the exams. I'm talking about before the exams or during the school term. You see children gaming. So parents oftentimes come and say, my child is addicted. My child is gaming all the time. But how many of us would sit with the child and find out how come there's an increase in the numbers of hours that this child games? Sometimes teens or children tell me it's because I'm very stressed with my schoolwork. Some of them say that's the only way I can find friends. Or some of them even say that's when I get a little bit of peace and quiet.
I think it's just Singapore.
No, I
it
don't
is.
think
It's the
so.
environment.
It's
the environment.
Singapore is very, very
We're very
extreme.
competitive.
Yeah.
But it's the environment
It
as
is
well.
the environment.
That's stressing the kids out. I don't necessarily think it's just the parents.
It's
because-
the parents, it's
the
the
school,
system.
It's the system.
But this is-
yeah.
the
Yeah.
system.
Dr. Jerry, I'm sure there are a few people who like exams, but I think the majority of kids detest.
Yeah, who likes exams?
There are some people
There are people who
there are
enjoy
people
it.
who enjoy it. Very, very
Which
few.
group of freaks are you talking about?
I don't hang out with them. But the majority of children or anyone who sits for a test or an exam detests it. How is it possible? And if it is possible, how can we have a healthy relationship with exams so that it doesn't become as stressful? You know what I mean? We face it head on. Obviously, studying is one part of it, and knowing your stuff is one part. But are there any other methods or tips that you can give?
Glenn is shaking his head.
Impossible, I think. But I'm curious as well.
Yeah, okay.
Good question, Angel.
Well, I would not want to focus on exams itself. I think if we just focus on exams, then we are a bit too myopic in the learning process. So learning is a process. So if I start from there, then I would like to address a couple of things. One is, a lot of articles, a lot of people say, oh, you need to study consistently. And then we interpret as every day you must do an assessment paper. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is so tiring. Or every day you go for a different tuition. Consistent can mean different things for different people. So, I come from the school where, or I've been schooled to do assessment papers every day, the 10-year series, and practice makes perfect. But I realized in university, I actually study so much better if I sit in the lecture hall and pay attention. And I learn so much more there, and then I consolidate a little bit afterwards. So a lot of people, or some, I wouldn't say a lot, some of the students, is very interesting. They say, I don't listen to the teacher in school. I just depend on the tuition after school. So they say school is useless.
Different
So
people
can
have
you
different
blame
methods.
Yeah. So can you blame these students for not wanting to go to school? They say school is useless, right? But we all have different methods of learning. I can't say one is better than the other, but please make sure that you follow all the school rules, okay? It doesn't mean you don't go to school.
People go to school
Yeah.
for their friends, actually.
Yes.
If you think
Yeah.
about
Yes,
it.
You do.
absolutely.
From
You do.
primary school to secondary school to, JC, pre-U, whatever. I mean, when I was in pre-U, it was more for the girls, of course.
But then,
I mean, if there were no pretty girls, what's the point?
but then can you imagine for those that are not sociable children, or for those that are being bullied, or those that just don't have many friends in school? It must be
Homeschool them,
awful. Yeah, but sometimes they don't have that option because the parents are not home to homeschool them.
And even homeschooling,
You mean you need parents at home to homeschool?
Yes, of
Well,
course.
you need somebody to look. Yes, of course, it's not just tutors.
I thought the
Yeah.
home is a school.
No,
Just-
no, no.
No.
Homeschooling is when the parents decide to keep them at home and tutor them themselves, or bring tutors in.
And,
Yeah.
and remember that homeschooling also means you have got to be
Discipline.
responsible for their discipline
Yeah.
and their social interactions.
Yeah, you can't just
Yes.
keep them in a little like a
They can't
hermit
be kept
crab.
in a bubble.
Yeah,
No.
they need.
They will
need
have no
that.
social skills.
Right.
Yeah. So it's tough. It's tough growing up. Look
Yeah.
at us, man. I can't even imagine us making it through because
I would
it was
not,
so hard.
I would not survive in the current education system.
You would survive.
No,
It's
don't
because
say
you
that.
grew up in a different system.
I don't think I
You-
could handle it.
You wouldn't know the things that you did before.
No, taking myself now.
Yeah, you can't take yourself now because you're an older person
No,
who
but I wouldn't.
cannot.
I would not survive this system. I don't think I had.
If you were a child, you would
the
be able to
gumption.
I don't know about
to-
you, but my parents didn't care.
Oh,
My
dear.
parents were like, okay, just go and just do your
I'm
best.
sure that's not
I'm
true.
No, it's
Yeah.
true. It's true. My parents weren't like very strict with me.
No, neither were mine, but
Yeah,
not
exactly.
in studying.
But I feel like
yeah.
if I'm a parent, I would be strict, on my kid, because I want my kid. I don't want my kid to become a radio DJ one day. I want my kid to become the next Prime Minister of Singapore.
Yeah, but is that what your child wants?
I don't care.
See,
like, hello?
You see?
that's
Oh,
where the stress comes
that's-
from.
oh,
Yeah,
that's
no,
the
of
stress right
course
there,
you gotta
you know.
take into account
Yeah.
what your child
Bear in
wants.
mind, if you have
Because
three kids,
I want my child to contribute a little bit more to.
Yes,
what
but
does
They
the-
don't
what
have
does
to be
society do?
president to contribute.
yeah, but what does your child?
Actually, it's true. I
want
would
at
expect
the end
like
of the
Lawrence
day?
Wong to become the next Prime Minister. Tanjong
Okay.
Katong Secondary School. No, I
Okay,
used to go
wait,
there
traffic.
for. Oh, okay,
Okay.
better not talk so much already.
Kiss 92 traffic.
It's just the usual peak hour traffic right now at this time of the day. It is 8:24. So if you spot anything at all and you need to let us know about it, it's 88550920, please.
Welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. It's Glenn Angel and the Flying Dutchman, and our guest for today is the beautiful Dr. Geraldine Tan from the Therapy Room. Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning.
So, Dr. Jerry, we were just talking about exams because it is exam season. We're coming up to the mid-year exams. How can children and parents and educators have a healthy relationship with exams?
Yeah, so I was going on the studying time. So, being consistent, what does consistent mean? The other one that I was going to talk about is actually what are their studying styles, what method do they use? And we've talked about this before, the VAK. Are they visual learners? Are they auditory learners? Or are they kinesthetic learners? VAK. Now, the system tends to only use one method. Granted that they try to expand their methods in the classroom, geography, they bring them out of the classroom to learn. But most of the time, it is top-down, very auditory, because the words on screen don't really count.
Are you guys V or A okay?
We
Are
can
you
be a mix.
visual, auditory, or kinesthetic learners?
Interesting.
Visual for me.
I'm visual.
I
Yes.
think more
Yeah.
visual than
Me,
anything
visual.
I'm
else.
visual than auditory.
I scored A for my literature in secondary school, right?
Because you
Julius
watch a
Caesar.
movie.
Because I watched
Yeah.
the Julius Caesar video over and over,
Over again, yeah.
I didn't even go through my book also.
Yeah,
I just put my book down.
I feel like I tell my kids as well, like if they're having trouble with something, go and watch a movie about the subject.
Yeah.
Yeah. and it
Yeah.
might go in a different way. They love watching YouTube videos anyway. Why not jump on
Yeah.
YouTube and learn something about the subject that you're learning about, you know?
Yes.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
So for the birds
Yeah.
and the bees, guess what I was watching?
Oh, we don't want to know. YouTube wasn't any. Yeah, okay.
First time I tried the moves, of course.
Was it all tucked under your pillow, under your mattress? Where was it? In the back of your cupboard?
Never mind. Yeah. First time I got caught by my mom. I think in maybe sec 2 or something.
Oh my gosh.
Of course, she had a long talk with me. You know, Glenn, whatever you see in these
It's not true.
videos, it's not the way you do it.
It doesn't happen
Well,
in real
years
life.
later, I told my mom, it is what? Sorry. I digress. Luckily, we are on the Big Show TV.
We aren't. Luckily, we're on air. Okay.
Let's go back. So what I'm trying to say is don't compare. People love to compare how long they study, what method they use. So if your friend goes through the textbook 3 times, Glenn would not go through the textbook 3 times. He would
Correct.
watch something.
Yes.
Right? Watch the right thing. But we all use different methods to study. So the last thing we want is to compare. So sometimes parents tend to impose the method onto the child, which adds on the stress level also. So if we want to pay attention to their styles or to help them to have a healthier relationship with learning, then we need to pay attention to their styles. So quality, not quantity. So the amount of time. Sometimes parents tend to say this: I come home and I don't see them studying, so they must study. The kids say, but you haven't been home the entire day. I have. And then there's this tussle. So sometimes it's a balance of, do we want the children to be staring at the book? Because some of the children give in. They say, okay, I'll sit there. But Auntie Jerry, nothing goes in. I say,
Yeah.
okay, which is true, so they can sit there for hours, but only 30 minutes is productive time for them.
That's true. I
So
think.
are we going to make them sit there, or how are we going to manage it for them?
Yeah, we've all been like that, like growing up, studying and all that. You can
Yeah.
be there for 2 hours, but how much were you actually studying, right?
Well,
okay, let's
we'll
continue to
talk
talk about this on the Big Show TV. Sabrina Carpenter is next. This is Espresso, her latest offering on Kiss 92.
Well, studies have shown that kids, even adults, can only sit down at one thing for about 45 minutes before they have to take a break.
Yeah.
But I was just going to say, if you want to know whether you're V or A or K, visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, you can actually take a test. And of course, you have to take everything with a pinch of salt, but you might be able to see where you veer more towards, and maybe have the child take it as well, so that you can help your kid along as well.
That I think is the important thing. I think a lot of parents don't understand their children.
Sometimes they don't understand themselves.
I discovered this with my girls. I had no idea what their study styles were.
But you see, you were not the pushy sort.
I was not pushy.
So your daughters
it's
were
okay.
never going to become like ministers or
that's
or
not
whatever.
true.
No.
No.
It's true. No, that which
No.
is why I'm saying, right? Okay,
No,
I'm
sorry.
not putting anyone down. But what I mean is, when you are going for that level, okay, then you need to push them a little bit.
But
no
not
one is gonna.
No.
But not every child who hasn't been pushed
Yeah.
does not become
yeah.
a prime
Yeah,
minister
but it's just
or
the
a minister.
minority lah. You know what I mean?
No, I don't
No.
think so. I don't think so.
You think Lee Kuan Yew didn't push Lee Hsien Loong?
No, of course
No,
he did, but that's
You
very
think Lawrence
different.
Wong's parents didn't push him to a certain extent? Come on. If my parents wanted me to become the next prime minister of Singapore, they would have pushed me as well a little bit, but they didn't push me at all. They were like, okay, go do what you want.
Yeah.
You just enjoy yourself. If you do well, good. If you don't
But-
do well, it's fine.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is we cannot have that thought in our mind. Oh, I'm not going to push my child, so my child's not going to achieve this, and this, because that it's inadvertently is going to come out at some point,
Yeah.
and it's going to affect your child. However you treat your child,
Okay.
your child will be as good as your child
Child
can
will be, yes, yeah. No, it's
whether
true.
you push them or not.
But some children need to be pushed.
Some
You
do.
bloody needed to be pushed when you were a kid. I needed to bloody be pushed when I was a kid. You know it, and I know it. But our parents were very cool with us.
So
You know what I mean?
angry.
We just wanted to play.
All kids just want to
All
play.
Yeah.
Not all kids. If you nurture them from a very young age, then they'll start like nowadays these young kids, right, Jerry? They think like adults. I mean, I'm in awe sometimes when I talk to a kid, like a 5-year-old kid or a 7-year-old kid or whatever. I'm like, my goodness,
yeah.
when I was that
Yeah.
age.
That's because they're exposed to so much more.
No, it's the way the parents
No. It's
bring
exposure.
them up.
I think it's exposure. I think parenting styles obviously have changed
Yeah.
because back then is no longer back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything has changed. But the fact is that children have access to so much more information via their phones, via their tablets. Parents leave them alone with the television, so they have access to a lot of information, and this is information that
They're
we
not
didn't
supposed
have.
to be having
No.
devices at that age.
But they do.
But they do.
5 years old.
Absolutely. I've
Absolutely.
seen younger kids have access. It's just a matter of whether they can input what they want into the machine.
Okay,
and
what
if they
is-
can, Dr. Jerry is listening very calmly and see the patience on her face.
I am listening, and it does. I'm glad for the conversation, because I think whatever that you are saying is echoing with many listeners out there and many parents out there, because we all have differing views and understanding, and we really only know what we know. But what I want to say is, when we talk about, when Glenn talks about, must push so that, you can become somebody in the future. I think, if we want to keep looking into the future, who knows what the future would bring?
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
really is able
Nobody
to
knows.
Yeah.
the future? But what we want to do is to look at the here and now. We're saying that the children presently are not doing well. Their mental health is not doing well. So we want to come back into the here and now to help them to manage. And then in the future, they can explore and do whatever that they enjoy. I mean, even for Glenn, FD, maybe your parents didn't really push you, but I've heard you speak over the last few years and many, many, many years, and you enjoy the work that you do. and
Yeah.
it is important work. So what makes one profession more important than another profession? So when you went into that direction, it really broke my heart, because then you are dismissing what each of you are doing, because so many people tune in to listen to Glenn, FD, Angel, and they take away so much. You know,
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
laugh
you
with
can't
you,
minimize
they
what
cry.
other people do.
That's
Yeah.
true. No, no, don't get me
No.
wrong. I love doing what I do, and I know that we help people. For example, like our sessions with you, Jerry. This is a session where many people tune in, and they're encouraged by some of the things
Yeah.
that we're talking about. Speaking of which, Roland is tuned in from Brisbane. We met Roland at Lone Pine Koala Sanctuary, and he is tuned in right now. Good morning, Roland. Roland's a very big fan of yours.
Yeah, and good morning, and thank you for all the chocolates and the gummies and everything that you sent us.
Morning,
That was
When you come
Roland.
over
fantastic.
Singapore, bring more, okay?
Yes,
Jerry,
the coffee chocolate.
this has come up on our Facebook page after Glenn mentioned, if you want to be a minister, then you have to do this. Benchmarking. How bad is that? Is it even bad?
What does benchmarking mean? So to this person,
This whole idea
Because
of if you want to be a minister, then you have to do this. If you know,
But I feel like, I hear where Glenn is coming from, and I feel like a lot of parents will benchmark being a minister or being a doctor or being
Being
a
a
lawyer
lawyer,
or being a
engineer.
psychologist or anything as being successful. And then Dr. Jerry comes on and says you have to not minimize or what people like us do, or people that build buildings do, or people that clean the floors do, because everybody has a little bit to do within society.
or what a chef does,
Because
or
if
whatever.
if you have everyone who's a minister or prime minister or anything, there's nobody else that's going to be doing anything else to keep
Yeah.
the world running. You need different people from different walks of life.
There
to
will
make the
always
world.
be normal people.
Oh my God, Glenn!
Oh,
Again,
sorry.
you're benchmarking.
Wow,
Yeah.
normal
I
as opposed to what?
appreciate-
As opposed to
What?
it's
No,
hard for
you
me to
can't.
say
You
because
can't
we're
win
on.
this one.
I mean,
We
no,
can't
I
win this
can.
one.
I can.
You can't.
You need to have a certain.
You can't say one
Yeah.
person is more exceptional
have to
than
have-
another.
of
No,
course.
you cannot.
Of
no,
course,
absolutely
Lawrence
not.
Wong is more exceptional than me.
That
only
is not
because
true.
Yes.
only because
It is
you
true.
think so.
Yeah,
It is true.
It is
Only because
untrue.
you
need,
think
you
so.
need to have a certain metal to be Prime Minister of Singapore.
That doesn't.
That's only if you want to achieve being Prime Minister of Singapore. Somebody else doesn't want to achieve being Prime Minister of Singapore, and they think you are their idol as opposed to Lawrence
but-
Wong.
but
No,
you see, there's
no dismissing what
there's
he
so
does.
many ministers. He was chosen because he was
Yeah, no,
exceptional.
but what
I'm
Angel-
not saying that the rest were not brilliant, but there was just something about.
But
Because only
about
one
him.
person can be chosen.
Yeah.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Yeah, but it doesn't mean that it makes him more special than anybody else. Okay, we're coming up
Especially
for traffic.
special because he was from Tanjung Katong Secondary
Oh my
School.
God,
That's
the
why.
second time you
When
said
are we
that.
going to have like a Prime Minister from St. Patrick's School? Huh? Anyways, luckily we are on air.
Oh, I'm
we-
getting so
we-
heated
are
up
we
right
on
now.
it?
Yeah, yeah.
No, we're not. We're going for traffic.
I'm confused.
Kiss 92 traffic.
On the PIE towards the airport after Bukatima Road's exit, look out for a broken down vehicle. And also, if you're on the AYE heading towards Tuas, you'll notice a bit of heavy traffic before Penjuru Road's exit. It's causing quite a bit of backup to Jurong Town Hall Road because of an accident. If you're heading down that way, please avoid lane 4. If there's anything else, WhatsApp us 88550920.
Welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. It's Glenn Angel and the Flying Dutchman. And of course, we have Dr. Geraldine Tan from the therapy room, who will probably need some therapy herself one of these days.
After this conversation.
After
She's
this
been
one today,
talking
yeah.
to us too much.
No, how can that be? You're a delight. And that's why we need to dialogue. And when we dialogue on air, everybody learns together with us. Isn't it fun?
True.
Yes,
Very
true,
absolutely.
very true.
And that's why what we do is so important. That's why what you do is so important. And what everyone does individually in their own lives is very
It's
important.
very important.
No one
because
is more special than the other.
I know people, and I can quite honestly say this, who feel that you have more metal in you than any of our ministers.
Yeah, absolutely. Who
People
what?
I have
Metal.
spoken to.
You, as in Glenong.
No lah.
No,
No,
you see, this,
it's your own opinion of yourself.
yeah, you are feeling imposter syndrome right now. It is. You see, we learn from you, Dr.
If I
Jerry.
was better educated, I could be a minister. I think I'll be a very cool minister.
I think you
Maybe
would
this
too.
is what you want to be. Do
Yes,
you want
I-
to be a minister?
Of course.
Okay, let's put you up for NMP
Which is
then.
why I was like, Mom, I should have pushed me a little bit more.
Oh, don't blame your mother.
Don't blame your mom.
Don't blame your mother. If you had wanted to do it, you could have done it on your own.
I'll be like our law minister like that.
Okay,
Minister Shanmugam.
you have to be a lawyer first.
Yeah.
I know that's
Yeah,
right. I wanted to be a lawyer as well.
you can't just be a law minister
I
without
would've
being
been
a
a good
lawyer.
lawyer.
I think you would have been
Actually, I
a very
wanted
good
to be-
lawyer.
I wanted
Getting
to
back
be
to it, Jerry.
A criminal lawyer.
You would have been very, very good.
I have no idea. We've detracted
No,
and
no.
have
Sorry about that.
Benchmarking your children.
I keep quiet now.
Good or bad for
Sorry?
them? Benchmarking your children. Good or bad for them?
Benchmarking. Let's encourage our children to do the best that they can in the areas that of their strengths. So I always am very appreciative and of people who enjoy what they are doing and to do the best they can in whatever area that they are doing.
Dr.
So-
Jerry, a lot of it has to do with mindset as well, right? And thinking styles. In your notes that you sent us today, you have sort of a
We have
note
the
that says 10 helpful thinking styles.
unhelpful thinking styles,
Unhelpful.
which we have spoken before. So if so there's labeling, there's all or nothing, disqualifying, the positive, catastrophizing, mental filter, over generalizing, jumping to conclusions, the should statements, emotional reasoning, and personalization. So if you have forgotten of or not heard about it yet, I think it's in the 3 sessions ago that we spoke about it.
Wow, your
Yeah,
memory
so
is
there's
fantastic.
more- there was more elaboration in that, but what Glenn demonstrated today was a lot of labeling of himself. So
Yeah.
he labeled himself as not having enough metal. He's labeled himself as not as good because he's not at a certain position or don't have a certain title. So that's labeling. So when our students do that to themselves, or the educators call out a student and say you're stupid, you're lazy, then they start to imprint that in their minds. And if we catch them doing that, we do want to help them to break out of it, to then work on their narratives. That's what we say.
Why do people call names? I really detest when people call other people names.
Like
You know
what?
what I mean? Like what she just said.
You're
Educators or
stupid,
even
you're this.
parents. You're an
Yeah.
idiot. Why did you do this? You're so silly. I think
My Chinese teacher used to say, 你没有根啊你, because
What's 根?
my what do you call
dear.
Chinese was very bad.
What's
So
根?
like I have no roots.
Foundation.
That's why my Chinese
You see,
is
now that's a
No.
horrible thing for a teacher to do.
Yeah,
And I think those are old school teachers because my girls had that same problem because of who I am.
I don't like
They would get
labels.
the line,
Yeah.
you know who your father is? Look
Yeah.
at your results. You know who your father is? What has one got to do with the other?
Nothing.
That's a little bad. But for me, it was the truth, lah. Because my
No,
Mandarin was so bad.
no, it's got nothing to
No.
do with roots. Nothing. Look at the Abeng you turned out to be.
That's
It's
true.
nothing to do with roots at all.
That is true.
Yeah,
actually.
see,
But you see, this Abing can't even speak Hokkien.
it's okay. It's all right. My father's Hokkien. I can't speak Hokkien. It's okay. Yeah.
We could be siblings.
Yeah, we could be siblings, long lost brother. There you go.
Yeah, man. Okay, up next, the Kid Leroy featuring Justin Bieber. This is Stay on Kiss 92.
We actually have,
根，我们两个
I tell you
没有
what,
根。
we actually have Max, who is
Morning,
so
Max.
taken by today's episode that he's going to ask his children to watch this when they get back from school.
Aw.
Oh no.
Good morning, man. Oh no, you said a
No.
few things. Yeah.
No, because people can learn from what you've said.
We'll
man.
edit it to be child friendly.
People can learn from what you've said.
They'll be like, what
Because
was
if there's one thing, you're real about what you think and about yourself.
No. I mean, what
What-
Jerry has said, nothing weird.
what was Glenn? What was Uncle Glenn talking about when he learnt about the birds and the bees, Dad? What was it he was watching?
Yeah, don't have to tell.
That's
what
the
he
one
said.
thing they pick. You know, I'm talking about labeling yourself. These are the things kids will learn.
Kids will pick up specific things.
They don't have to pick up on Glenn's video.
So let's talk about our
Videos?
incoming Prime Minister,
Oh,
Lawrence Wong.
Okay.
Anyway, Lawrence Wong is supposed to come on the show.
I know.
Yeah.
We've
What's
been
going
asking
on?
him. He's too busy.
I asked him myself, okay?
Yeah, you did.
At an event.
And he said yes, right?
well,
As
he
soon
said,
as he
you know,
had
he said he
time.
would love to come on the show. But this was like what, 3 months ago, 4 months ago?
I think we need to slide into his DM and drop him a message. I think it'll be much quicker.
I think,
I
but
don't
now,
think
now he's going to be so
he
busy.
is
already.
very busy at
Yeah.
this point.
More
in
so
time.
now,
He's
yeah.
trying to
More so
be
now than
strong.
ever.
Too busy
we
for
were
us.
trying to get him before the announcement.
So you know, I told the bosses and all that. I said, okay, you know, he's probably very busy. So you know, who's not going to be very busy now?
Who?
Lee Hsien Loong.
Let's try and get
So
him on the
finally,
show.
maybe we can get Lee Hsien Loong on the show.
Absolutely.
Since now he's in retirement mode.
Yep, for sure. I think that's a
would
great
love-
idea.
I would love to have a
You
conversation.
know what? Actually,
with him.
now that he's not going to be prime minister anymore, I think I'll feel more relaxed talking to him as well.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask him, what are your plans? Should I call him sir or Hsien Loong?
think no, you
you
still
can
call
call
him
him
sir.
HL or something if
Right
you want.
now he's not prime minister. If I call him Hsien Loong, what's going to happen?
No,
Nothing.
you would still call
Yeah,
him
I think he'll
sir.
appreciate it. Why sir? We are about the same age, no? I think.
You are not
Sorry.
the same age.
He is still a member.
He's
of
not the
Parliament.
same age. Who is about?
He's
same,
slightly older.
him and
He's
Hsien Loong or you?
He's still a member of Parliament, for goodness sakes.
Why must he be like that?
It's respect.
Let's see.
No,
Lee
I don't know.
Hsien
That's
Loong
me.
is
If I were him, I'd
72
just-
years old.
72.
Hmm.
Okay, there you go.
72.
I would call him sir.
That's so weird calling someone sir.
I'll call him Mr. Lee.
Oh, Mr. Lee. Yeah.
I'll
I'd
try
say
Hsien
Mr.
Loong first. If his
Okay.
face changes, then I'll go like
Sir.
prime minister. Just like when you're president, everyone calls you president, like forever,
even
right?
even when you're not president.
You see,
anymore.
all these questions for him will be so interesting, right, Jerry? What do you think?
It is, and that's why we need you, Glenn,
Mm-hmm.
to spark off all these thoughts. And nobody will call him by. I wouldn't think of calling him by his name, but you know, you just made me think there, and made many people think there.
You know who I want to speak to also?
Who?
Ho Ching.
Oh, okay. We can get them both to come in at the same time. How about that?
No, one
No?
one at a time.
Oh, one at a time. Okay.
Yes.
All
Okay,
right.
okay, both of them.
Yeah.
They're very
that'd
cute
be-
together, I just want to say.
Okay. They're cute together. I don't know
Okay.
anyone said they're cute.
No,
together.
I've seen some videos.
Cute.
Like when they were lining up to get their vaccination or whatever.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we
Okay,
going
what
Enough
were we
about
talking
enough
about?
about vaccinations.
It's-
Jerry, if we have kids, as Max is going to get his kids to watch this later,
Yeah.
and we're talking about stress when it comes to exams, how does Max help his kids de-stress? How does he help him cope? How help his kids cope with the exam?
Okay. I like how you asked the question. But so we can teach them relaxation techniques. We can teach them what we've spoken about today. You know, what are your studying styles? How much time do you need? But we don't help them to de-stress. So I will share what some of the students have told me, you know, that they want to tell their parents. So the top one that all of them would say is, leave me alone. So imagine all of us are studying, right? And we can remember the times that we are studying and we are engrossed or we are doing something and somebody comes and speaks to us. It is very annoying. So when we are in the studying mode, you know, parents tend to just pop in. They think that they are trying to check in on us, but sometimes we don't need that.
I always lock the door.
No, please do not lock the door. Because with the mental health climate nowadays, I'm very scared when children locks the door. So the top one.
Hold on,
leave me
Jerry.
hang on,
Hold
hang
on, hold on. We're going on here.
Okay.
Paul Russell, Lil Boo Thing, right here on Kiss 92. All the great songs in one place. We are speaking to Dr. Geraldine Tan from the Therapy Room. Good morning once again, Jerry.
Morning. And that's when we are almost to the end. So tips for the parents.
Okay.
So one, the young ones have voted leave me alone, but they are still they don't want the parents to come and disturb them, especially when they are studying. Don't come and check in. Give them a period of time, like mom or dad, I'm going to study for an hour, so after that hour you can come in and check in on them. Now, the other one that the children or the teens actually are quite comfortable with is they enjoy a meal together with the parents. So parents, I always encourage the moms or dads to cook their favorite meal, because it's very comforting for them, especially during the examination period. So oftentimes parents say, I cook, but they don't want to come out and have a lunch, dinner, or go out with us. So I've asked the students why, and they say, because every time is during this period of time, my parents will ask me about my studies. They got nothing else to talk to me about except my studies, and I said, oh, that's true. So what other topics would you like your parents to engage in during this period of time? Anything besides studies.
Okay.
Yes. So, have outings with them, have meals with them, engage with them. Don't bug them about their studies. And then you see your children emerging from the rooms, emerging from the, wherever the little cave is, and spending time with you. So at least these three things for the parents to just take note of, and you can go try it. Very simple. Very commonsensical, but oftentimes we forget in our own anxiety.
All right. Thank you so much, Jerry, for today's session. I think we've all learned a lot, especially the parents. Hopefully they communicate with their kids a little bit better after today.
Thank you, Dr.
And
Jerry.
I will say something or rather I'll quote Albert Einstein. It's not me. Albert Einstein says, anyone who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new. So let's go try something new.
I think that was your quote, wasn't
No,
Albert
it's
Einstein?
It was Einstein.
It's
I've
not
never heard
mine.
of that Albert Einstein quote before. That was Jerry's quote.
No, and next week is exciting. Next week I'm coming into the studio.
Ooh.
Yay.
And we're
Sex
going to
addiction
have-
next week.
Oh, Mom.
No. We are going to have someone from Singapore Kindness Movement join us.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yes.
Fantastic.
The director of the program. Yeah.
And next week will be the eve of a public holiday, so that'll be great.
What holiday?
Wednesday's a holiday, Labor Day.
Labor Day.
Labor Day is next week.
Next week?
Yeah.
Next Wednesday.
Okay.
Yep.
It'll be good.
Short week next week.
That's nice.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Jerry. We'll see you next week in the studio.
Bye. Yes.
care, Jerry.
I'll see everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Hot. Okay, up next, headline news and sports. Keep it right here on KISS 92.